welcome to another edition of Derry Connections, where we help you stay connected. I'm Larry Seaman, your host. Earlier in the year, the East Derry Village Improvement Society began its project on the preservation of the Upper Village Hall. Derry TV was there to document the start of this endeavor. Although the project will take years to complete, we thought we'd take a look at the progress so far.
Hi, how you doing? I'm David Milz. This is the, I guess almost a 6-month update on our original tour of the Upper Village Hall. We're down here in the basement where we put in about 400 man-hours down here. Just cleaning, clearing up, just demolition work, just taking everything down to the bare wood so that we could see what we're working with. One of the first things we noticed was that we had over 2.5 to 3-inch gap and sag in the upper floor, and we started working on that right away. And we've fixed that. We've pulled up many of the tiles. Yeah. We've been able to get down to all the bare brick walls, all the original wood and trusses, uncover everything, and we're now probably 95% done with the demolition down here and are ready to start the construction phase, which will consist of shoring up all the old wooden columns with new steel I-beams. And as I've previously stated, we've already straightened out this floor area down here. As you may or may not recall, one of the things that we weren't entirely sure of how we were going to attack was the old jail area. Yeah. We've got that fairly well cleared out. We're going to continue to use it as a future utility room because it is the brick structure we found that is in very good shape. We have contacted a historical architect, Mr. Richard Monahan, and he's on board as our official architect here to guide us once we start rebuilding. Our goal isn't to make it exactly the same, but to make it, as we improve it, to do it with an eye on the historical perspective of the entire place.
Okay, let's take a tour.
Okay. All our old columns we had exposed before we knew about that, but we did manage to get up all this old floor tile that was laid in when the cement was actually wet. And it's been a heck of a job pulling it up, and we've got the old daycare center carpet up that was just home to every type of mildew bug that there possibly was. Well, one thing that the architect had recommended, our original plan we thought was to leave that wonderful stone foundation open for the public to see. And frankly, he told us, well, if we had our heart set on it, he'd go ahead and bless it. But we would forever be faced with a damp, mildewy, musty area. So we were going to compromise it. At some point in time, it's going to have to be walled in and boarded up and moisture-proofed. Right. But what we plan on doing is having a plexiglass viewing window actually set into the wall.
Well, that's an idea.
So that as people come down, they can see the original stone foundation that's holding up this entire building.
Sounds good. What's happening today? There's a couple of things going on.
Today is just an open house for the neighborhood. We figured, there's a lot of people in the neighborhood that have just, stopped by when the doors have been open and we've been working here. And a lot of people are curious, as long as this building has been in here, some people in this neighborhood have never been here. So we opted that we were going to have an open house today from 3 to 5. Let everybody come on in, take a look and see how much we've gotten done. What progress we've made, and hopefully we'll get a couple of volunteers out of it also.
Sounds great. And you have something interesting for tonight as well.
Tonight we have our Paranormal Investigators of New England. We were approached. They have a small group, kind of like the Ghost Hunters on History Channel, and they love holding their meetings. I mean, they can hold their meetings wherever they want, but they love holding them in old buildings. And they have a regular order of business, and then at the end of their normal business, they pull out all their, I'm not a paranormal investigator, so I have no idea what they have, but they've got sound recording equipment and infrared cameras, and they'll actually wander around this building for about 2 hours looking for signs of paranormal activity.
Excellent.
Myself as an update, as the rookie town councilor.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
It's been a learning experience for the first 6 months, and I think I finally got my feet on the ground, and I've worked with a wonderful group of people. Have taught me how to go around and touch on all the town councilor type of things.
Well, you seem to be keeping in touch with all the things going on in Derry, so that's a good thing.
I am. I'm the liaison for the Taylor Library across the street and the town of Derry. I volunteered for that because that's one of those places that's near and dear to my heart. And obviously, I'm still a trustee here at the Upper Village Hall. And I'm also the town liaison to the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in Derry, which I was a member of for 6 years before my election. We've made it up to the main entrance of the Upper Village Hall. As I said earlier, we managed to fix about a 3-inch gap and crack in the whole floor joist, so we managed to shore it up, and as a result, all the plaster in this area cracked because it was all the original horsehair plaster. So we opted to take it down and actually find out what was behind it, what we were faced with. So we managed to, we took it all down, found all the original horsehair plaster and the lathe that was behind it. We've stripped it all down, and we're in the process of rebuilding it, blowing in the insulation behind it, and actually restoring it to its original condition. Our long-term plans are to replace we've got the original front doors that we found up in the attic. And we're going to try and replace this 1960 style aluminum door. We've got the woodworking group and crafts people at Pinkerton Academy are going to refinish the doors for us. And hopefully when we get the front portico rebuilt, we'll have it all restored to almost its original condition.
All right.
Aside from that, we've replaced the chandelier. We had a rather shabby 60 style chandelier, and we had a donation from somebody who happened to have an 1800s style chandelier, and brought it down here and asked if we'd be interested for it, and we thought it would just make a wonderful addition to the main entry hall. We've also managed to strip off all the old linoleum floor tiles and pull up all the nails, and we're going to sand the floor back to its original condition so that it's on a par with the Great Hall in its original finish.
What's the timeline on this project? It's going to be a few years, huh?
It's a 10-year timeline. We have applied for a grant from the Preservation Society. One of their main concerns was that the 10-year purchase and sale agreement between the society and the town is it's a very tight timeline. We thought it would be more than adequate 10 years, and they're used to seeing projects like this take 25 to 30 years. So they were a little hesitant about giving us any kind of money in case indeed, the building defaulted back to the town. But the town assured them that the 10-year timeline is there just so that they have an indication that things are being done here. In other words, we know that the town can say that we have to have this outside of the building painted by the first or second year. But they're also aware of the fact that we're dependent on volunteer labor. And we did have an Eagle Scout came in here, although the interior of the building wasn't on, I think it's on year 5 that the interior has to be painted. He came in and volunteered to paint the entire Great Hall as his Eagle Scout project. So the town was fine with that, and as long as we can continue to show the town that we're making strides and we're making steps, they're going to let us continue with the project. We, as another small project we started down here, we found out that this was part of the original Taylor Library before it became the Taylor Library next door, before they built the building. This was the original town library. So we've started, once again, we got all the old asphalt tiles up and started restoring this room also. Well, once again, if you step on into the main hall with me, we are having our open house today, and these are all our neighbors here in East Derry that we've invited to step in, take a look around the hall. We've been giving tours all day, and just letting everybody see what we've accomplished so far. So, welcome.
That's all for today's show. Hope you join us next time. I'm Larry Seaman for Derry Connections, and I hope you stay connected.